Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Janani. Today I'm going to show you guys 3 ways that you can make 3D polymer clay flowers. For this project, I ran some translucent polymer clay with a little bit of blue through the pastel machine on the 3rd thickest setting. My lovely friends at createalong.com sent me these awesome texture stamps. So I'm going to be using some of these for the project today, and I'll link their website and social media down below for you guys. Today I'm using this set that is called Fairy Blossoms. That's a tongue twister. And along with the stamps, I'm using Aztec Gold Pearlex powder. To create a lovely background for this project, I took one of my stamps and then dipped in the mica powder and tapped the excess off. Then I carefully pressed the stamp onto the clay, leaving a beautiful golden emboss. I continued stamping the rest of the clay sheet, creating a pattern. This is my absolute favorite way of using these stamps, but possibilities are endless with these. After my pattern was created, I used an alcohol wipe to clean up the excess. Next, I created the base for my earrings using 3D printed cutters. Now to begin creating our 3D flowers. First, I'm going to create these simple roses or peony style flowers. I ran my clay through the pastel machine on the thinnest setting. Next, using my sharp X-Acto knife, I cut the petals in the shape of an upside down teardrop. For this flower, I cut about 8 petals. This is a really great shape that could be used to create many styles of flowers as well as leaves. I'm going to begin by creating the middle of the flower. I used a bowl tool and my palm to texture the petal first. I carefully stretched and pulled the clay outwards in every direction. Then I started from one end and rolled the petal, creating a coil for the middle of the flower. Next, I repeated the same technique to texture the next petal and placed that where the middle of the flower ended. When it comes to the number of petals and arrangement of the petals, it is all up to you. For me, I like to overlap my petals, and when it comes to placing the next layer, I like to always place my petals in between the first layer of petals. And for this type of flower, I always like to use 2 layers of petals. Since these petals are paper thin, after texturing, make sure you are handling them very carefully. To add more depth, I use the needle tool to create small ripples and textures on the petals. And then I cut the excess off using an X-Acto knife. I created a few of these flowers for the earrings. next flower is one of my favorites and one of the easiest. Again, I ran my polymer clay through the pasta machine on the thinnest setting. For this, I like to stretch my clay a little. I know these edges I'm cutting looks a little scruffy, but that's what's gonna give our flowers its character. Again, I use my bowl tool to give the clay a little more texture. For this flower, it's super simple. All I did was create small pleats like little folds in a circle, and then I pinch the whole thing from the bottom. The pinching makes the folds pop out a little bit more and make it a little bit more 3D. Then I roll the excess clay in between my fingers and cut the excess off with an X-Acto knife. I like to think this flower looks like a carnation flower. It is super easy and it looks really nice. And of course, I created a few more for the earrings. For our third flower, I ran some white clay through the pasta machine on the thinnest setting again. For this flower, first I freehanded a small heart shape. I like to call this one a calla lily or a peace lily. Then I rolled a small tapered yellow snake and cut it to size. Next, I placed it on the middle of the upside down heart shape and pinched the curves of the heart together. And just like that, we created a small calla lily. How adorable is this? Again, like always, I'll leave all the tools and supplies for this tutorial down in the description box. Make sure you check out all my other social media and shop links. This next flower is actually a bonus flower that I wanted to add on for anyone who wants to create a fast and easy one. To prevent my cutters sticking to the clay, I added some cornstarch. First, I am using this flower plunger cutter from Amazon to cut some flowers. To take these flowers to the next level, I use my needle tool to make 2 indentations on each petal. I think this little add-on makes these flowers look like cherry blossoms. Later, I'll be adding a contrasting color bowl of clay to the middle to make it even better. For our final flower, I use these circle cutters to get even balls of clay. These are absolutely optional, but I use them so I will have even balls of clay. I have shown this technique previously as well. For this technique, I created a small teardrop shape and then I divided and cut the thicker side to 5 equal sections. Next, using a small dotting tool, I pulled out the clay, creating a petal. I also used a needle tool to put the joints of the petals to give it more definition. These little guys are great filler flowers because you can make tons of them and use them to fill gaps. I also made an extra set of roses in a different color for my design. And it was time for my favorite part, the assembling of the flowers. I usually do not pre-plan, I just go with it for the design. You can always use a little bit of liquid clay to make sure your flowers stick well to the base. Raw clay to raw clay attached pretty well, and my clay was so soft, so I barely used any. I ran some green clay through the pasta machine on the thinnest setting again and created some leaves and vines to go with the design. Just a quick reminder, if you were ever inspired by one of my tutorials, make sure you follow me on Instagram and tag me there so I can share your beautiful creations. And I also added tiny balls of clay to create middles of some of these flowers. After both of these designs were done, I cured them in the oven for about an hour in 275 Fahrenheit. Make sure your pieces cure very well since we used a lot of tiny details. Also make sure you use an hour thermometer, and I covered my pieces with some foil in order to make sure the translucent base doesn't get discolored. After my pieces were cured and cooled down, I used my cordless rotary tool to sand and drill the holes for the jump rings. Again, make sure you check the description box down below for the links for these tools. Since I used Pearl-X powder, I sealed the background of my pieces with some Duraclear matte varnish. Do you ever wear your jump ring opener like a ring, like a fashion ring? Looks like I did. Anyways, back to work. After these pieces were dried, I attached the earring backs using Loctite super glue. And when it was dried, I added some UV resin to the bags to make them stronger. Also, please make sure that you wear proper gear when using UV resin. Next, I assembled the earrings using jump rings, and that is the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for sticking with me till the end. This was a long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.